World War I began in 1914 and continued until 1918. The main causes of this war were nationalism, militarism, imperialism, and the system of alliances. The immediate cause of the war was the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. The major powers of Europe were divided into two opposing groups. The Allied powers included Britain, France, Russia, and later the United States. The Central Powers included Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire. The war was largely fought in trenches, and modern weapons were used on a large scale for the first time. Millions of soldiers and civilians were killed during the conflict. After 1870, the major powers of Europe were in constant rivalry with one another. Germany emerged as a new and unified power and began expanding its influence across Europe. Britain had established global dominance through its naval power. France sought revenge for its past defeats and was eager to display its strength. Russia aimed to expand its geographical and political influence in Eastern Europe. Austria-Hungary had become weak due to internal conflicts and ethnic tensions. The Ottoman Empire had entered the final stages of decline and was suffering from political weakness. The balance of power in Europe became unstable, and dangerous tensions spread across the continent. Overall, Europe was standing on a powder keg, where a single spark was enough to start a war. World War I did not happen suddenly. It was the result of years of hostility. Nationalism in Europe made each nation believe it was superior. Nationalism also inspired smaller nations with a desire for independence and power. Militarism allowed military leaders to dominate politics. Countries expanded their armies and weapons to show their strength. Imperialism turned European powers into rivals over colonies. The race to control Asia and Africa increased tensions. The alliance system divided Europe into two opposing camps. Because of these alliances, a conflict involving one country became a world war. A single small incident was enough to push the entire world into war. On June 28, 1914, a historic event took place in Sarajevo. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the throne of Austria-Hungary, was on an official visit there. His wife was accompanying him. A Serbian nationalist youth, Gavrilo Princip, attacked them. Both Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife were killed on the spot. Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia for the assassination. The event set the European powers into motion. The alliance system caused the conflict to spread rapidly. This assassination became the spark that started World War I. Austria-Hungary attacked Serbia after the Sarajevo assassination. Serbia resisted the attack. Russia began military preparations in support of Serbia. Germany viewed Russia's preparations as a threat. Germany gave full support to Austria-Hungary. France entered the war to support its ally Russia. Germany used Belgium as a route to attack France. Belgium's neutrality was violated. Britain declared war on Germany over the violation of Belgium. Within days, the conflict spread across Europe and then to the rest of the world. The war was divided into two major alliances: the Allied powers and the Central Powers. The Allied powers were led by Britain, France, and Russia. Later, the United States joined the war, giving the Allies decisive strength. Italy initially remained neutral, but later joined the Allied powers. Japan took part in the war to support the Allies in Asia. Under the British Empire, millions of soldiers from Canada, Australia, and India fought in the war. The Central Powers were led by Germany and Austria-Hungary. With the Ottoman Empire joining the war, the conflict spread to the Middle East. Bulgaria supported the Central Powers, making the Balkan front more dangerous. Because of the involvement of different continents, the war truly became a world war. Fighting on the Western Front was carried out in trenches, with armies facing each other. 86520. The trenches were filled with mud, water, and filth, where soldiers remained trapped for months. Continuous rain turned the battlefield into a swamp. Continuous rain turned the battlefield into a swamp. Soldiers suffered from severe hunger and a lack of clean drinking water. Diseases, especially typhoid and trench fever, claimed thousands of lives. Machine guns killed hundreds of soldiers within moments. The thunder of heavy artillery shook the entire front. Poison gas attacks killed people in painful and horrifying ways. The battlefield became an open graveyard filled with bodies and destruction. This was no longer just a military war, but a horrific massacre against humanity. In World War I, tanks were used on the battlefield for the first time in history. Tanks crushed trenches and obstacles, changing the nature of warfare. Submarines turned the seas into a battlefield as well. Commercial and passenger ships were also targeted by submarine attacks. Aircraft were used for the first time for reconnaissance and bombing. Air attacks spread the war from the ground to the skies. Chemical weapons, especially poison gas, became weapons against humanity. Gas attacks targeted civilians as well as soldiers. For the first time, civilian populations directly suffered the destruction of war. War was no longer limited to soldiers, but affected all of humanity. German submarines targeted American merchant ships in the Atlantic Ocean. Attacks without warning caused intense anger in the United States. The deaths of American civilians shifted public opinion in favor of war. Germany's policy of unrestricted submarine warfare proved decisive. The American economy was already supporting the Allied powers. In 1917, the United States officially entered the war. Fresh American troops strengthened the Allied front. American industry and resources changed the balance of war supplies. German forces could not withstand the pressure from the United States. America's involvement decisively changed the course of World War I. By 1918, Germany was suffering from a severe economic crisis. Military and civilian revolts began across Germany. War-weary soldiers started refusing to fight. A mutiny in the Navy shook the government. Public protests and strikes spread throughout the country. 57933. Kaiser Wilhelm II was forced to abdicate the throne. The new German government decided to end the war. The armistice was signed on November 11, 1918. The horrific 4-year-long slaughter officially came to an end. Although the war ended, its wounds and effects remained on the world. In 1919, heavy war reparations were imposed on Germany under the Treaty of Versailles. Germany was declared the sole responsible party for the war, which was seen as a national humiliation. The German army was strictly limited, and its military power was greatly reduced. Germany was banned from possessing tanks, an air force, and submarines. Several important territories were taken away from Germany. Germany's colonies were divided among the Allied powers. The German economy was pushed to the brink of collapse. Anger, despair, and feelings of revenge spread among the German people. However, revenge dominated these decisions rather than justice, laying the foundation for the Second World War. After the war, Germany faced severe humiliation and national disgrace. Heavy reparations and restrictions pushed Germany into deep poverty and economic destruction. Unemployment, inflation, and hunger made everyday life extremely difficult for ordinary people. These conditions later led to the rise of extremist leadership and became a major cause of the Second World War.